What's up, guys? I'm Nobody Special, and the price of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies is crashing again today. And even though I'm heavily invested in cryptocurrency, I don't care one bit about today's price crash. We're going to get into why I don't care and what my strategy is for cryptocurrency. You ready? Hit it. Thank you for joining me. I'm Jack Gamble, and I'm Nobody Special. And the big headlines today is that cryptocurrencies are crashing again, with Bitcoin dipping below $30,000. That's down more than 55% from its all-time high of $64,000 a few months ago. Now, there's any number of reasons why cryptocurrency might be tanking at any given time, but right now it looks like a crackdown from regulators across the world may have something to do with it. Everything from the Malaysian steamroller crushing Bitcoin miners to Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen expressing concerns about stablecoins. Now, while I was perusing some of the headlines about cryptocurrency and the government crackdowns on it today, one quote really stuck out at me. And here it is. A paper released this month by Yale professor Gary Gorton and Fed attorney Jeffrey Zhang. Okay, keep in mind, this is an Ivy League professor and a Fed attorney. Explored similarities to historical examples of private money which were often subject to runs. Now, here's the quote that cracked me up. If policymakers wait a decade, stablecoin issuers will become the money market funds of the 21st century, too big to fail. And the government will have to step in with a rescue package whenever there's a financial panic, they wrote. Did you ever read something that was so inherently stupid that you just wanted to climb onto Jeff Bezos' rocket and get off of this planet? Well, if ever there was such a quote, that's it. You see, when these central planning muckety-mucks get together and decide they know what's best for everybody, they don't understand that we don't like that. That I don't like bureaucrats in Washington and Ivy League professors deciding the best way for me to live my life, what's best for my money, and then making decisions on my behalf. So when I read something like the Fed will have to step in with a rescue package for stablecoins, did you ever wonder why people might be using cryptocurrency, Fed? Maybe it's because of your stupid rescue packages. Maybe because every time you step in to rescue us, you make things worse. Did that ever occur to you? But I digress. Now, to be clear, there are some genuine concerns around stablecoins. Number one, some of the characters involved in stablecoins, especially Tether, have a shady past, to put it mildly. Number two, it looks like they just mint or create these stablecoins, these Tethers, these US dollar coins, out of thin air, that they're backed by nothing, and they can create them whenever they want to, and that these stablecoins are being used to prop up the price of Bitcoin. That's a very genuine concern. But here's my question. How is that any different than the US dollar or the euro or the yen or the yuan or the peso or whatever currencies out there, the bolivar, whatever they're using in Zimbabwe? Guess what? There's no difference. And maybe that's why the government is so ticked off at stablecoins, because they're like, hey, that's my job to wantonly create fiat currency out of thin air backed by nothing. You can't do that. That's our job. Again, I am concerned about stablecoins, and I think there is some fraud going on there, and eventually that fraud is going to be exposed, and that's going to be very bad for cryptocurrency price action. But that is exactly what central banks all over the world are doing to fiat currency. Now, I bought my first Bitcoin back in 2017, shortly after Thanksgiving, when everybody, and their uncle was talking about Bitcoin, and that's when the memes really started. And then I saw something that scared the crap out of me. I saw a video about Carlos from New York and BitConnect. Now, if you're not familiar with BitConnect, watch this.
Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. What's up, BitConnect? The world is not anymore the way it used to be. No, no, no. BitConnect! Wow! BitConnect! Whoa, what's up? Financially independently. I am saying to so many people who said that this was going to be a con artist game, that this was going to be a scammer game. Hey, you're going to lose all your money. My wife still doesn't believe in me. I'm telling him, well, honey, listen, this is real. No. That's a scam. And I said, but wait, I'm going to go to the bank. I'm going to get my Bitcoins. I'm going to actually put it into dollars. Here, they're right on the table. No, that's money that you took from another account. I'll say, what am I going to do? So guys, let me tell you, I love BitConnect!
Yes! Thank you so much, Carlos.
Now, when I saw that BitConnect video, that was my "it's a bubble" moment. I mean, I just knew that was a fraud, and it turns out BitConnect was a Ponzi scheme, and some people are going to jail over that. That was announced recently. So I went and sold. That was January 14th, 2018, and at the time, the price of a Bitcoin was $13,700. Now, the price crashed all the way down to about $3,500 in 2019, so I got out just in time before that really crashed. But here's the thing. Right now, Bitcoin is just under 30,000. So even though I sold, and I was right to sell because it was a bubble and I did spot that fraud, here we are 4 years later, and I would be up over 150% right now, even after this big crash. So did I really save myself any money by trying to time the market back in 2018? Depends how you look at it. If you look at it from a 2019 perspective, yeah, that was a great trade. That was a great move getting out of that. If you look at it from where I'm sitting today, no, that was a bonehead move. So I have decided that I'm not good enough to time the market when it comes to Bitcoin. So what I do is I dollar cost average in. Now, you may have seen my video a couple of weeks ago I did about the world's worst Bitcoin investor. This guy, Bob, who bought at the top of the market every time right before every major crash. And even though he is the worst market timer in history, Bob is still way up on his initial investment. He turned about $40,000 into about $1.4 million, even though he bought at the very top right before the crash each time. So that's kind of my strategy, not to buy at the top, but I dollar cost average in. I use an app called Swan. I make a small purchase every week, no questions asked. I don't look at the price. It's an amount of money that I can absorb into my monthly budget, and I don't really notice it, but I am slowly chipping away, buying a little piece week after week, and I'm going to let that play out over years. Now, there's a reason why I'm going to let that play out over years. Let me preface this by saying I think the pain for Bitcoin is not done in the short term. I think we could be going much lower. But again, I'm not a market timer, so I'm not going to try to time the market. Now, the main reason behind my long-term strategy for Bitcoin has to do with Bitcoin's inherent deflationary pressures. First of all, Bitcoin is lost all the time. People buy Bitcoin who don't quite understand what they're doing. They lose their private keys, and those coins are lost forever. That might as well be Blackbeard's treasure at the bottom of the ocean. No one's ever going to find it. They are out of circulation. That happens all the time. So that is an inherently deflationary pressure on Bitcoin. The other reason that Bitcoin has this built-in deflationary pressure is the halving schedule. If you're not familiar with that, the halving is every 2,100 blocks of Bitcoin that is mined, the payouts to the miner gets cut in half. So long story short, the amount of new Bitcoin entering the system gets cut in half roughly every 4 years. Now that has happened 3 times since Bitcoin was invented. The first was in 2012. After the first halving, Bitcoin price went from $12 up to $1,150. That's quite a move. All right, now the price crashed. After it reached its high of $1,150, the price crashed more than 50%. Then in 2016 was the second halving. And over the course of the next year to 18 months, the price went from $650 to almost $20,000. And then the third halving was in 2020, when the price went from about $8,500 to our recent high of $64,000. Now, are you seeing this trend here? Every 4 years, there's a halving. There's a huge run-up. The speculators get involved. They take it too far. Fraudsters are drawn in. BitConnect and all these altcoins pop up and they rip people off and these pump and dumps. But Bitcoin itself runs up like a rocket. Too far, sells off 50%. Trades sideways for a couple of years, another halving, rinse, repeat. 3 times that's happened, reliably. And all 3 times, the price has moved up very rapidly. There's been some kind of a fraud, either the Mt. Gox hack or the BitConnect scam, or who knows what's going on with Tether right now. The speculators take it too far, the price comes back in. That's going to happen about every 4 years. So my approach with cryptocurrency is to buy a little bit every week, essentially for the rest of my life. And I honestly believe, based on those 3 halvings and the future halvings that are going to happen, I think Bitcoin will be trading in the millions in the not too distant future, maybe even this decade. I know that number seems ridiculous to a lot of you, especially in light of what's going on with Tether and stablecoins. But I would challenge you this. In 2012, would you have predicted that Bitcoin could go to over 64,000? Back when Bitcoin was $12? Could anybody have predicted that? I'm sure some people did, and they were probably laughed at and looked at like they had 2 heads. But I believe that trend is going to continue, even more so in light of what's going on with fiat currencies. I mean, I think Bitcoin could be trading in the millions within a medium term couple of years, regardless of inflation, regardless of this downward death spiral that fiat currency is in. And if you think it's a coincidence that governments are targeting cryptocurrency now as they're fighting to protect their currencies from the inevitable collapse, you got another thing coming. They're going after cryptocurrencies now because they know their currency is becoming worthless and people are going to stop using it if they have an alternative. So here's how I buy my crypto. Number 1, I mine Ethereum. I do that on this computer that I'm filming this video on. You see, when I decided I was going to start this YouTube channel, I knew I needed a new computer. My old laptop was a piece of junk and just wasn't powerful enough to do this. So I went on the market and I started looking at computers, and oh my God, the chip shortage, everything was so expensive. But a buddy of mine had called me recently and said he had just started mining Ethereum with some old equipment. So for shits and giggles, I went and I looked what a high-end PC was going to cost me. And it was pretty expensive, but then I looked at the money I could make with that PC while it was sitting idle. It's only a couple of dollars a day, but right now, this computer that I'm using for my YouTube channel is essentially paying for itself by mining Ethereum when I'm not using it to make videos. So that's the first way that I buy my crypto, is I mine Ethereum. It's not a big mining operation. It's just one computer. It's only making a couple of bucks a day, but it's paying for my computer. The second way I invest in cryptocurrency is I use an app called Swan. And Swan allows me to automate my purchases to a small amount every week. I chose Swan. Number 1, they have great security features, and number 2, their fees are very low. I mean, I am sick of Coinbase's fees. I will never touch Coinbase again as long as I live. Now, I really like Swan. It's not the best user interface, but it's very secure and very low fee. Anyways, like I said before, don't touch a trade based on what you hear from Nobody Special. I want you to do your own research and your own DD. But if you check out Swan and you think it's something you might be interested, I'm going to post a link in the description of this video. If you click on that link, you'll get $10 in free Bitcoin. Now, full disclosure, that is an affiliate link, but I can tell you I am 100% behind Swan. I use it myself. I've been using it since before I signed up for this affiliate program, so I do stand behind it. Guys, I really appreciate your time. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell. It would really help me out. In the meantime, live small and dream big.